Hello everyone, this is DD1 here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 2007 model of the Gemmy life-size Jason Voorhees animatronic. Now this guy was made for several years. This particular version of him was made through 2009, and then ultimately in 2010 through 2012 they made a variant of Jason from a different film. But this is based off of the Freddy vs. Jason appearance, and this guy is just such a Gemmy classic. And the 2007 model, being the first gen, is known for having some faults to it mechanically and electronically, but it is by far the most detailed version you could find. And I actually have the box with them here, and fun fact about this particular one, this was the first ever 6-foot base purple button item that was ever in my home. And what's really wild about this particular one as well is my father originally purchased it, not me. I couldn't afford it, and he bought it to flip it. He broke even and it disappeared. And then sometime later in a lot on eBay, it actually showed up, and I could tell it was the exact same one because of this tear right here on the box graphic. And I was in shock. I was comparing pictures. I could not believe it. It was the exact same one. And so I actually convinced him. We did a little roadie out there. It was like 4 hours away. Not where we originally sent it to, by the way. It was originally sent to a different state. And we got there, and the guy claimed that he had for 10 years and didn't know what I was talking about. But ironically, it was the same price that it was originally paid for it, and then it was sold for. So in the end, some money was lost with shipping and whatnot, but then I finally got the exact same one, which is just crazy. Because when that happens, statistically, the item is probably going to be in the hands of, the new owner for some time. But somehow that was not the case here. So incredible backstory for this guy. And this is probably one of the few fully working 07 Jasons on YouTube. When I first got this guy, the head turn was fried, and could not figure out why that was. Or not why it was fried, but why it wasn't moving. We opened it up. This is before really the whole concept of a split gear was even thought of. And it was just well, for some reason the motor isn't turning. And eventually the Gemmy fan came over, and he hot-wired, if you will, the head turn to the eye function, and then so both the head and the eyes move, just at a lesser amount. And then the body turn, I believe, was also stripped, and so eventually, it got to the point where the head and the eyes twitched, and then it did nothing else. The arm didn't move, and the body turn didn't move. And then eventually it was given a new body turn piece from something else, from a part out Deadeye Drake, and then the arm mechanism was repaired, and then in around 2020-ish, the head turn function that was fried on the board was restored. And something that's notorious for the 07 model of Jason is for the head turn to fry, because in 2007, the 6-foot characters, their head turn motors that they got were not the best quality. There was something that happened in between the years, and they ultimately just got pretty inferior quality motors for that specific mechanism. And the fact that Jason turns his head so much throughout each activation ultimately leads to that motor dying quicker, and then when it keeps trying to move but can't, ultimately frying the function. But on this one, that's been restored, and so all the movements are moving. The current only flaw mechanically with him is the eyes they don't move as much as they're supposed to, and they tend to eventually gravitate towards that side of the head. So I've started them out to this side. They're just a little locked and whatnot. And for some reason, just the eye motors also on the 07 Jason just tend to want to keep dying for some reason. But it's a pretty standard motor, so I don't know why that is. But yeah, this guy is in pretty great shape. He's fully working. Ironically, the 2008 Jason is next to him. But then I'll go ahead and show you the box. So here it is. The 2008 and 9 models got a full print box. This one just has a white box with legal labels on either side. So you can see all the detail there. Watch his eyes move, careful attention to detail, removable hockey mask, and of course his trademark machete. And he collapses for easy storage. And he retailed for $249.99 at Spirit Halloween in 2007. And then if we look at the back of the box here, it says similar things. A must-have for any Jason Voorhees fan. Do you dare lift the mask to see what lies beneath? So yeah, just a very neat box overall. And so the differences with this one between the 2008 and 9 is you're going to have a lot of cosmetic differences. So first of all, and it does vary. I think there were 2 batches like with Rob Zombie, but mine at least has a ton more hair on his head than the other models. So as you can see, there's just a lot going on there. He has a lot of hair. And then the 2008 you can see has much less action going on up there. Given he was made in 2007, he does not have cheap eyes. And then the 2008 does. I don't know how well that shows up on camera. The hockey mask, this particular one is from the Proto 08 because CJ Wilbur is borrowing my 07 right now for a project, my hockey mask. But you can see that the mask fits on the head very nicely. This one, it kind of hangs a little bit. Like it's just kind of loosey-goosey on there. And with this one, it's a very snug fit. The strap material for the mask, I think maybe a little different. The paint jobs are a little different. This is not the most accurate comparison for the paint though, because this is painted a little differently than a produced 07 mask. The gloves are quite different in terms of how they're made. So you can see there's obvious stitching right there, and on this one, not so obvious. Slightly different fabric materials. You can see here there's an 08 hand and an 07 hand. The pants are, let's see, kind of sort of the same fabric. But in 2008, they started to do this thing with the shoes, with this particular shoe model, where they would cut out part of it in the front. I don't know if they were concerned that the spring would get caught on it or whatever, but they did that for all of the licensed characters that used this shoe going forward. But 2007, they still had pretty much the whole shoe there. So you can see they did carve out a little bit in the front, but overall there's much more of it there. So that's just a nice detail. And in the end, it doesn't really matter, objectively speaking, but it's just nice to have. And with some of the characters where there's much less slack going on, it's nice because sometimes if the wind blows or whatever, or it's just positioned wrong, then you can just see that big gaping hole in the shoe. So with these, you have to kind of position the fabric to where that doesn't show up, but with this one, it can go however you want. That's not really an issue. And aside from that, you know, the jacket is a little bit different in terms of material and color. This one's a little more dull. The rest of it is basically the same, and there's more random blood streaks on the 07 versus on the 08. There's not really any blood at all, but there is some on the machete. Machetes are painted a little different. You can see here, there's the 07 and then the 08. So just a wee bit different. With this one, there's like a line on one side, followed by splatter, and this one is just kind of splatter. That's really all there is to compare, I suppose. So you might think that the 2008 is better to the original IP with the less hair. The arm was lengthened a bit. This arm is actually partially detached and hanging lower, so it looks better, but the 07 does have a little too short of an arm on that side. So in terms of mechanical reliability, a 2008 or 9 model would, generally speaking, last you longer. But if you're looking for the detail, there's just notably more with the 07. And this was the first ever 6-foot base character to get a tri-me jack. And so it's not in the standard spot from 2008 up, which is right here, if that's even showing up. But it's actually behind the foot, and it says in-store demo instead of tri-me. So this guy is kind of like the predecessor for tri-me buttons on modern animatronics. That's really all there is to say, so without further ado, we will get him going here. I'll activate him one more time here. His eyes actually behaved pretty well there. Sorry, something got kind of in my throat. So you can see that he is fully operational. And I just think that's really awesome to see, because despite the inferiority with mechanics and whatnot, this guy just has a different vibe to him than the other one. And there were just a lot of things that were upgraded. The body turn was upgraded so it can't strip out or round out the hole as easy. The arm mech was made to be gear driven instead of belt driven, so it won't be slipping down as much, and it's just stronger overall. But you really just can't go wrong with the cosmetics on this guy. I mean, he just looks pretty great. I guess I'll play one more time and that'll conclude the video. This video is already too long. Yeah, pretty awesome. And just one more thing before the video ends. The box is a lie. It says 6 feet tall. He is 6'5". I'm 6'4¼ which surprises many people. But he is a tad bit taller than me, and I ironically like to look up to people because I never get to do that. So he's a pretty tall guy. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. And I will see you in the next one.